Okay. You ready? And wait till Bishop.
Go ahead if you want to.
In 3, 2, 1.
Hello, this is Sister Haley reporting from Teen Scene Live. And I'm Shanice.
And I'm Kayla.
And we are here to ask Bishop Rufus some questions about his God's message to him about the church. So, how did Victory and Praise start? Where else did you have a church?
Oh, this particular church you're asking, where else we had church
Yes.
location? Well, Victory and Praise started in 1995, January the 1st, 1995. And basically, my wife and I, Pastor Trina Turner, we were on our way to New Jersey. We were going to change locations, and we had both put in for a transfer at the telephone company to both go to New Jersey and to live. And basically, Stockton was the stopover, and we never left when we got here to Stockton. And then we went to a concert in Modesto where my group, Heirs to the Throne, went there to sing, and we were last on program, and a prophet approached me and told me that God wanted to establish a church out of me. And I pretty much tried to find out, because we were living here in Stockton, and I tried to find out where his church was, and he said no, he didn't want me to come to his church, because God had sent him out there in order to tell me to establish a church here in the city of Stockton. And so the next Sunday when I went visiting another church, they called me a minister, and I had never been called a minister before. And then the next Sunday after that, we went to another church, and I walked in, and they asked me if they wanted to escort me to the pulpit. And so then it was almost like a signal that maybe, just maybe, God might be doing something. And then basically I had a vision at work. I was downstairs in Concord, California, and God gave me a vision of Victory and Praise, and he showed me key things concerning what he wanted the church to look like and what was going to take place. He showed me the audience, which was made up of multicultural individuals. He showed me the pulpit area. He also showed me the back of the church, which was sort of like stadium seating. You know how the seats go down?
Yeah.
Like that. So he showed me all that, and it went all the way to the floor. It wasn't like a balcony. You know, the balcony has space underneath it.
Yeah.
It was going from all the way from the back wall down to the floor.
Wow. That seems like a big
And
place.
so he showed me all of these things, and he spoke to me concerning how I was going to establish the church and run the church. And so then we started looking to accomplish it. And I ended up at the IRS, believe it or not. And the IRS helped me to establish Victory and Praise Church. We started in my home at 803 Carey Street here in Stockton. And we had Bible study there. And then we moved to 808 North Center Street, which is maybe about 10 blocks away from here. And then we moved to 2842 Country Club Boulevard, which was over by Safeway off of Highway 5. Then we moved from there to 2901 Pacific Avenue. And then last place was here, 2029 East Harding Way, here in Stockton.
Wow. So, Caleb has a few questions for you too.
Okay. Did you ever have a vision of what VIP would look like?
Yes, I sure did, because God gave me the vision. And one of the things as a part of the vision was the pulpit area, in which he said, you're not going to have a choir stand. And basically, I was to be on the front row worshiping with the rest of the congregation. And mainly the only people up in the pulpit would be the worship program mover. And so then when they come out, then another person would go up before the congregation to lead them through the next phase of the service. If you notice, most of the time it's just one person up in the pulpit before the people. And that's because of the vision that God has given. We are close to having the seating, the stadium seating in the back of the church. Yes, what's that?
I said that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, I think so too. It's exciting also.
Yes. Has he? Is he still giving you like different visions about what's gonna happen in the future?
It pretty much has stayed consistent because he had revealed to me that there was going to be a community impact section. There was going to be a music section of the whole vision of the church. There was going to be ministry where anybody who came in, this was going to be a one-stop location. That's the phrase that he used. A one-stop location where every need is met. And it doesn't matter who you are, what your background has been, and what has happened in your life. The church needs to be reestablished as the point of contact to get every need met. See, now because of what has transpired, many people go to the justice of the peace down at the courtyard to get married. That should not have happened. It should have stayed in the church. And so things like that, where people are going other places to get things, God wants to reestablish it back into his church.
Right.
Where do you see Victory and Praise in 10 years?
In 10 years, that's an interesting question. I still see them here, but I see, because there's supposed to be a total of 5 buildings on the campus.
Wow.
We have 2 now. So in the next 10 years, I'm hoping that 3 more will be added to here, because each building is supposed to represent an area. This building that we're sitting in, which is the Community Development Center, is supposed to be strictly for the community, the whole building. And just like where we're having the worship center, the church, that's supposed to be all for church. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then I am looking at this building that's right in our parking lot, right in front, that auto place. I'm hoping that they'll either move or they'll go out of business, and then we will acquire that building, and that would be our maturity building, where we will develop our Bible studies, and we will develop our small group booklets and write books, those who are writing books and things like that. That would be the maturity to help people to grow. And then we only have 2 more buildings that we would need to get on our campus. And I'm looking this way for that property on that side, to where then we can build the other 2 buildings.
That's great.
Yes. So that's the vision of the church.
Have you ever felt kind of pressured, like you know how Joseph felt kind of pressured and Mary felt pressured when they found out that they were going to have his son? Have you ever felt pressured, like knowing that you were going to have to build such a wonderful place for God?
It's always that pressure is on me. And just recently, the current pressure has to do with, he said, I gave you this property for you to be in the sanctuary over in phase 2. Have you all walked over to phase 2? Okay, you went over there. We're supposed to be over there, but you notice we stopped right in the entryway in phase 1. And so there is pressure on me to move the congregation over to phase 2.
what you're talking about. It's huge in there.
Yes, and
Yes.
so that's what he gave us as our worship place. And so we're sitting in the entryway, and we have become relaxed. And so I'm feeling this pressure on me to get us over to the other side. And there is always this pressure on the pastor to keep moving in the things that God has revealed to him. It never lets up. And even when you accomplish something along the way, you celebrate, but you still have that pressure because you know there's still more to be done.
Yes.
So you have like a band or a group that you sing with, right?
Used to, yes. Well, we come together every now and then.
So when you first started the church, did they like help you? Did they stick around with you and Pastor Trina?
No. Matter of fact, after about 6 months of becoming a pastor, we sort of disbanded the group. It was Heirs to the Throne.
6 months ago, Pastor.
Yeah, then we pretty much let it go.
Okay.
We come together maybe once every 2 years just to sing. We don't even have rehearsals or anything. We just come together and sing.
Wow.
Was there ever a time where you like I know you said that you have pressure, but was there ever a time where you just like wanted to just like quit and you just like done and
Ooh. Yes, because you run into roadblocks. You know what God is telling you to do, and of course you have the enemy, Satan, trying to block you on every. And then he tries to get you in a corner where you don't have any options. You know, if I could get out of this corner, then I can possibly think of something to do in order to keep moving. And so you get tired and you get frustrated, and sometimes you get angry and you cry out to God because you don't know what to do or how to do it, because God might give you a vision, but you have to discover him as you're going along, because you don't have the expertise. You're going to areas that you've never ever been before, and so you don't know how to really get there. And so you just keep saying you have to trust God. Is this where you're telling me to go? Is this what you're telling me to do? And sometimes you meet opposition, and so then it makes you say, oh, it's not going to happen. For example, when we were over at Country Club, for 10 years, we kept trying to work with the city in order to do something in the back lot behind the church, and they would not let me do it. And every time I would overcome an obstacle, they would tell me, no, you need to do this other thing. And so for 10 years, we kept trying to do something, and the city would say no. And they would make up stuff like, okay, you got to find parking. And then I would locate some vacant land, and they said, is it within 500 steps? So go out there and step it out for 500 steps. And if you have not reached that location, that place is not acceptable. And so you keep going around and around and around, and we kept doing this. And even one time they told us that we had to put in a pump for the 100-year rain that only comes around once in 100 years. And it ended up costing us over $100,000 to put this pump in. And then on top of that, they said they wanted us to put on their books over $100,000 that they will hold, that we will never ever get back again. So it was these things that make it, it'll drive you to the point of saying, this is impossible. I might as well just let it go and give up. But then you have to keep pushing. It's not easy, in other words. So.
Did you ever see like your church growing and having so many ministries under it?
I knew that there was going to be a ministry building on campus, that's one of the other buildings that's going. I knew, and it was going to be a building that was going to house the various ministries of the church inside the church, because this building is supposed to be for ministries for out in the community. Then there's supposed to be another building for inside the church, and so I'm still looking for what that's going to look like. Right now, I think we got maybe about 23, 24 ministries inside. And so, who knows, it might be an office building for each of those ministries in order to do what God has called them to do.
What is your biggest hope for the youth of Victory and Praise?
I am praying that you would make it so alive to where it becomes attractive for other youth, multicultural. I want activities to where people are rushing in here to be a part of the youth department here. I want it to be innovative. That's something that God has placed on me. I love to be out in front. I like to be the first one to do something. I like to, and for people to look and say, oh, they copied that at Victory and Praise. Yeah. And so I love young people. You have innovative minds. And so I want you to use to be innovative in your approach to ministry to where other people will want to come.
Do you think you could have come as far as you have right now without Lady Trina?
No, I would not have. And so God knows who to put you with. She has been a tremendous help in moving this ministry forward.
Can you say that Lady Trina was that person that stuck by you throughout this whole process?
Yes.
Like, because we want to, like, and if we when we make our video, you want to have like the people that were around you back then, who helped you, like, and followed you along this way. And you said that your group, you split up a couple of months, like, you guys split up 6 months of becoming a pastor. So Lady Trina will definitely take that place for you.
When you say take that place, what do you mean?
Yeah, just like being there for you and helping you.
She was there throughout the whole process, throughout all of it. She saw the ups and downs, the ins and outs. She saw the roadblocks. She saw all of those things, and she's been an encouragement to me every step of the way. To give up. When I want to give up, she'll encourage me to keep going and to keep pushing.
What was it like for you as a child?
Now looking back, I was sheltered, very sheltered. When I say very, I mean very. I didn't get to go to movies. I didn't get to go to any of the ball games. I didn't get to go to any of the school dances, and I didn't get to go to, it was a very sheltered life, but I didn't know I was sheltered while I was there. The only place I could go to was the church and I didn't go to my first restaurant till I was about 13 or 14 years old.
Oh, really?
Really, yes.
So, when you first started church, how did that affect your personal life, like your home life?
When I started the church?
When you first started, did you like not have as much time as like before to just chill or, be to yourself?
Well, I've always been a person that because I've been in church my whole life. My mother, before she passed, she told me that she went into labor with me while she was singing up in the choir stand.
Oh my God.
And so it's pretty much been in the church my whole life, and I've always been busy in the church because the church I grew up in, we had something going almost every night of the week. And so when I became pastor, that's one of the reasons the group stopped is because I had to pretty much put my energy and my thought process into building a church. And so it was time to transition from being this gospel singing, traveling group to focusing in on the vision of the church that God had given.
I have a question.
Sure.
You spoke about innovation in your earlier life. What do you think that you did to be innovative? Because I know you were.
I did a whole lot of stuff.
Did you travel?
What did I do in order to be innovative, or was it because there's something God would just give me? Okay.
All of it.
Yeah, it was. God would give me stuff. See, God taught me how to play the instruments. Nobody, I didn't have a music, and me and God would hang out together and just talk, and He would show me exactly how I should play and how to read music and how to use the keyboard. And sometimes He would give me like clothing ideas, and I would take my regular shirt. I take credit for coming up with what they know as the Nero shirt. I take the collar and I cut it off, and then I would sew it all the way around to where there was like a little piping going around the thing. And I can remember Andre Crouch looking at my shirt and saying, "Where did you get that shirt from?"
Oh my God.
Because it was just the button right here, and then it was like the round collar, that was it. We would do stuff like that all the time because we would come up with ideas in order to just to do stuff differently. I don't even know what to say. It's just, I would come up with different fashions and do different things with the clothes and stuff like that. And we would always try to come out and set trends in the way that we...
Trendsetter.
Yes. It was just something to be innovative. And in doing so, this is one of the things, you mentioned the youth. Can I go back to that? Because when we grew up at about 13 or 14, we started putting on conferences for our organization. And they would let us book hotels. We would book buses, 38 passenger buses, and we would go to the snow. We would take trips to LA, being 13. It's just all of us 13 and 14, and we would feed the people during the conference, where they would get into the kitchen, and we would, they gave us like almost free course to do the things that we needed to do in the church. And quite often when I look at our young people, it's almost as if they're waiting for the adults to come forth to do some things. And whenever an adult gets involved, excuse me, because I got to just be real, they're going to come in with their ideas. And basically, when adults come in with their ideas, it is not what the youth really want, because we're going to be coming from our generation. And so when I spoke about you being innovative, you need to come forth with your ideas in order to implement them. Now, you can share them with the adults and they will help you, but don't expect them to do it for you.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I hope that answered your question. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Whichever one of you came with the question.
Can you give us some examples of things that you did in your church when you were younger? Not teenager, but like, yeah. I guess you could be a teen.
We wrote plays. I wrote plays, and we would put the plays on from the script. We would design the costumes. We would write the music. We were just out there. We recorded one album. Every time I go back to my home church, when I go into the to get my robe on and whatnot, it makes me smile because I walk into the room and there's our album that we made. It's sitting on the wall, and it makes me just smile that way back then when we were that young, we had the wherewithal to figure out how to put forth a vinyl. Y'all don't understand vinyl stuff, vinyl recordings and whatnot, because just when we were over on Country Club, I pulled out an album, which is an LP, and somebody said, "What you holding that calendar up for?" And it was young people. And so, yeah, we would just have these ideas that we would put forth, workshops and everything.
Wow. I want to go back to the calendar thing.
Okay.
wait, do you mean like those big, like the little slim boxes with the CD in it?
Yes, that's
or
right.
It's not even
a
a CD.
CD.
What is it?
It's
What is it?
a
record.
It's a record.
Record.
Yeah.
I think I learned about it in my history book. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
No, I'm kidding. No, I've never actually seen a real record or a recorder. A record.
I'll have to bring one so you all can look at it so you'll be able to tell.
Yeah, I've seen them on TV and everything.
Yeah, they're trying to make a comeback. I don't know if they're going to.
Records.
What's that?
I said I've actually had to play records for my grandma.
Oh, see?
She make me go
Wow.
in there and pick the records and put them on there and clean them and everything.
Wow.
That's great.
I have one last question for you.
Okay.
It relates to the anniversary.
Uh-huh.
And the theme for the 24th year of Victory and Praise
God.
Church is possessing the promise.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on your thoughts and why did you come up with this verse and what does it mean to you?
Okay, because every year when it comes around to anniversary time, it's almost like, I don't know which one of you mentioned, it's almost like, are we on track to where you want us to go and to be? And I think that's when God told me that we're sitting in the entryway and we have not crossed over. In the Bible, is the children of Israel got to the brink of the promised land, which was the Jordan River. And God eventually dried up the Jordan River and they walked across and stood over in the promised land. And there were, I'd say, 2.5 tribes that wanted to stay on the other side of the river, because it wasn't a bad thing, come to find out, because they felt like this was more conducive to what they wanted. It was nice for them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, God revealed that it's almost like what we're doing here, Victory and Praise. Mm-hmm. We're in the entryway and we're saying, this is nice for us. Why don't we just stay right here? We have the heating and we have the air conditioning to make it comfortable for us. Mm-hmm. And so then we become relaxed as if we have entered into what God has promised. God had promised us a campus with 5 buildings on it. He gave us a campus with 2 of them on them. And then people might get relaxed and say, oh, you ought to be satisfied. Look at it. It's 45,000 square feet. It is not the 5 buildings. It's only the 2. And so the theme of the anniversary is we are going in to possess what God had promised us as far as the worship center is concerned. And so that's what it is. It's the crossing over to the other side of the wall. It's not going to be complete. It's not going to be beautiful. It's not going to be fixed up. That's coming later. Yeah. But we need to cross over and worship in the real place that God has promised us.
When will that happen? How many more years?
March the 17th.
This March?
This March.
This anniversary?
This anniversary. We're going to be on the other side of that wall.
Oh my goodness.
That's why they're over there doing as much work as they can as we speak. And so it's going to be a wonderful occasion, and it's marking our 24th year anniversary that we are going to go over there, and we're going to have a worship service there all day on March the 17th.
Oh, it sucks I can't be there.
What's that?
I said it sucks I can't be there.
I heard before you came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's possessing the promise. We going in to possess the land or to occupy where God has given us.
Yeah, my teacher likes to say, like, put it out in the atmosphere and then just take action.
That's right. That's exactly what we're doing. And say that again. Put it in the atmosphere and take action. And that's what we're doing. We are taking some action.
Say that again, Miss Haley.
That's put it in the atmosphere and then take action.
All
That
right.
means speak it and then expect it to come to pass.
Yeah.
Now, what we're not going to have are the seats coming down like that, but that's coming in the future.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us, or us being here with you. I don't know, whichever way.
Thank you for allowing us to come in.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. And it's so wonderful that you all come in. Don't make this be your last time coming into and seeing me and talking with me and even asking questions. You are so male in relationship to the females. It's just wonderful to even see it. That's the way we hang out, like that. Well, thank you very much, Sister D, for bringing them in. And I hope this is at least a prelude to what's going to happen. God bless.